when people were telling us this is going to be as big as, national emergency or national disaster X or Y, we're like, no, it's just a little fire, and they were right. And we found ourselves, a few of the rabbis from the West Valley found ourselves in the position to try to figure out, on behalf of our own individual communities and the larger Jewish community as a whole, how to respond to the fires. And we didn't really have a clue.
Unfortunately, we had a preschool, which after the fire, we closed because several of our families lost their homes in the fire. We were all pretty much trying to determine from a wind perspective where this fire was going, and everyone continued to tell us that Malibu would be safe.
For someone who's facing a similar situation, I think it's important to seek out resources, talk to those who have been through it before, find resources like Joffe to help create or help you think through the questions and the logistics and the minute details of each and every step that it's hard to know when it's the first time you're doing it and it's in the middle of that moment where everything has turned to chaos and you don't know what you need to do to reopen your building and make sure that it's cleaned out properly and make sure that everyone feels safe in that moment and have the support of those around.
Well, within the first hours, we were just pretty much unaware as to what to do or how to do it. And then thankfully, through the Jewish Federation, we got onto a phone call where Chris was the lead guy, and he basically took us through all of the steps as far as how to communicate with our communities, how to make sure that people felt safe and understood what was going on, how they could feel protected, and helped us through all the various phases of communication in the very beginning.
If somebody called me up and said, we're going through something similar, the first thing I would do is I'd say, here's Chris Joffe's phone number. You need to call them. If it was somebody calling me, they'd probably be a faith leader of some sort, and we're not equipped to handle these kinds of things on our own. And having Joffe help us is invaluable. We are a Jewish community, and it's funny because I didn't even think that there were any differences, because the way Chris approached us, it was as if he had grown up in this community. I don't know exactly where Chris grew up, but we felt that he understood exactly what our needs were. And we were a diverse group of people. He wasn't just Temple Aliyah, he was the entire Jewish community response he was in charge of. So that included camps and schools and synagogues, each with their own special needs, or I should say with their own unique set of circumstances. And he really guided all of us through it. And he was attentive to the needs of the day school and how they contrast, and where we overlap and where we're different from a synagogue and a day school and a camp. And we really felt like he had a deep understanding of what we all needed, regardless of our religious traditions, and also keeping in mind that we are a specific religion and that we're Jewish and that we are a cohesive community. He was brilliant in his attention to that.
We found from the very first phone call that we were dealing with an organization, and specifically Chris, who were there to provide anything and everything they could to help us through this. And even till today, we are still working with Chris and Cole and other folks within the organization to be able to finalize what are still open insurance issues. I can tell you without any hesitation, we could not have gotten through this without Chris and everyone at Joffe.